Hello, welcome back to another episode of D54. Welcoming back Mr. Sunny. How you going, man?
Hey, good to be here, man. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. It has been Mammootty fever, I guess, because
Cannot get enough of it.
no, we can't, man. And like last time we were talking, we were doing a movie, which was I think probably one of the most like extreme examples of evil that I think I've seen, because we had seen Vidheyan, and what a movie that was.
That still sticks in my mind, man. Mammootty being as badass and evil as that's not going to leave me anytime soon.
No. And then, man, I'll tell you, so thanks to everyone that watched our Vidheyan review. We got a lot of, great comments, a lot of great commentary around what that movie is about. And one thing that I think, I don't know if every single comment said this, but it would have been close to every single comment, man. Everybody talked about this specific movie that we're talking about today, Ponthan Mada, because this is in the same year that Mammootty did Vidheyan, where he's playing the complete opposite character, man. Yeah.
I mean, if we needed to know any more that this guy has amazing range, like that just proves it. In the same year, to go from two extremes, that's remarkable.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, man. So I think the thing was he won the National Film Award for Best Actor. It was kind of weird because it was like he won it for both movies. Like it was like a combined. What? Yeah, he got the Best Actor for his performances in both of these movies.
Jeez. In a way, not surprising.
Yeah. Not at all, man. Because his performance in Vidheyan was one that probably sticks out to me probably a little bit more because just of how visceral it was and how aggressive it was, Like it was so like he plays, I feel, that evil character so well.
That's
so fierce, and you're almost intimidated watching him.
It's so out of character for how I perceive Mammootty to be and the films we've seen in him. He's always had incredible presence, but it's never been, as you're saying, that visceral, evil, like just such intense dislike for that character. I've never felt that towards Mammootty before. So that has an impact.
Yeah, definitely not. And so this one, I mean, it plays on the other end. So he is playing, he is now technically, I guess he's a slave.
I guess he's like kind of a lower caste character who's, that's...
Yeah, he's a lower caste character. Now, he's not going through like the same things that Tommy in Vidheyan was going through. I think he was in a bit more of an extreme situation, I felt like. This is definitely a different take on sort of the whole, I guess, servile relationship, because I mean we were weirded out at times by Vidheyan with how
there's a lot of questions about that relationship.
Yes, it was kind of really strange, and to see the the downfall of Tommy's character in Vidheyan was just like, in some ways it was like so far off it was hard to understand. I feel like this one is a bit more relatable in some ways.
Yes. I think you can understand the dynamic here far better than you could in that. And maybe that's just such a foreign concept to us. But even this relationship, it's not something I've seen in cinema as well. So that's what drew me to this movie so intensely. So even this has that uniqueness.
Correct. Yeah. But yeah, guys, so we are going to be reacting to a few scenes in this movie as well. But I guess before we get into that stuff, man, I want to get your just general impressions about this movie in terms of its pacing, in terms of like its impact, because it's definitely like a really different kind of movie. I feel like it feels different. Like it's a movie that I think, you can try and break it down analytically and try to understand all its nuances, but I think it's more of a movie that you just sort of like experience, and I think Malayalam movies do this quite well. Like you just sit back and, especially of the time period, 1994, those kind of movies felt like more just like a snapshot of life. It felt like, and that's what this movie feels like again.
100%. It feels kind of just another movie that washes gently over you and you just become slowly immersed in the lives of these characters. I don't know exactly when this film was set, but I imagine kind of around colonial India, 40s, 50s maybe, or something. And so you just kind of are steadily drawn into that world, and it's so like easy. They do it so effortlessly that you're transported. And then the characters are also such that they're all they don't have the extremes of the Vidheyan characters, right? And so everything is just kind of gentle and moving along very kind of slowly, but not in a way that I was bored ever. And so it was just a really easy watch, and it drew you into the relationship so well. I think one of the interesting aspects is the split timeline in this movie. You had kind of the Mammootty character, Ponthan Mada, kind of explaining his life story to the young lady, Rashmi, or I forget her name exactly. And then you go back in time to see the relationship between Ponthan Mada and Thampuran. And so that two split timelines was interesting. I'm not sure how big a fan I was of the two storylines, but it kind of worked on me, man. I was never bored. I was completely engrossed in the relationship between Mammootty and the Thampuran character. That was the core of this film, and it had me hooked from start to end.
No, that was definitely the core. I feel like the older Mammootty, which I think we have to sort of mention his makeover, because that was probably one of the striking things to sort of just see him like with such a extreme makeover, man. Like
I did not recognize that was him for like maybe 20 minutes, and I was like, wait a minute, is that until he started reminiscing? That was very well done.
Yeah. It's like it's funny because we see in Vidheyan like how striking he is through his voice and things like that. It's again almost like the opposite in this one where we just see him like this meek, old man,
downtrodden, almost aimless when his master's left. Yeah, the transformation could be more of a 180. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, we've seen him do this. It reminds me a little bit of Paleri Manicum when we watched that movie. He played three characters, and he's playing the last one's like an old man, like as well. So
that's true.
Yeah,
just loves a good time skip.
Yep. He loves making his hair white and having a wig, and
maybe because he feels so ageless. Like, what is he, 73 now, and he still doesn't look that age? So he's got to find ways to look older.
Definitely. So that's one thing. I mean, I did like the sort of, I guess because in the movie, I guess until the end, I didn't understand the purpose of the whole, time split. I think it paid off in the end because I think the ending is actually really sort of nice in the end of what they've done to pay that off. But before then, I was like, was this just for the shock factor of the Mammootty makeover? Like, was there anything more to it? So I think it did pay off. And I did actually like exploring that relationship between, I guess, the older Mada character and I guess the young girl who's getting married. Like that relationship was kind of endearing.
That's right. It was endearing, and there are parallels that they're going through in terms of like being forced to do things and lost love and all of these kind of things. So there was parallels there, which kind of paid off at the end.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Well, let's get into our first scene, man. Like again, because of the nature of these ones, there's really we were talking before. There's no like wow moments. I guess there's no there's no Mammootty kicking down somebody to death or like, any of those sort of extreme scenes that we sort of saw in Vidheyan, which is really also adds to Mammootty's performance because, it's varied. He doesn't always have to shock you with something, It's these sort of subtleties and these, these kind of more, I guess, slower paced movies that he's also very good at. That's what I also appreciate about this movie. It doesn't always have to be shock factor with Mammootty.
That's right. You give him any role and he'll make that role mesmerizing and he'll draw you in without fail.
Correct, man. So let's get into this one, man. This is, I think, pretty early on in the movie.
നീർനായയുടെ കാട്ടവും തേടി കിഴക്കുന്ന് പുറപ്പെട്ടെത്തിയതാ ഇവിടെ. ഈ ദിക്കിലെ നാഥൻ ചീമത്തമ്പുരാൻ ആദ്യമായിട്ട് കാണുന്നതും അപ്പളാ. കിഴക്കുന്നാണേ.
എന്താ ഇവിടെ തിരിച്ചു കളിക്കണേ?
ഞാൻ നീർനായുടെ
ആരാ നീ?
കാട്ടം.
നീർനായുടെ കാട്ടോ? എന്താ നിനക്ക് വേണ്ടേ?
നീർനായുടെ കാട്ടം.
എന്തിനാണ്ടത്?
കുടി നിർത്താൻ.
നീ കുടിക്കോ?
അല്ല, മോലാളിക്കണേ.
കേക്കട്ടെ.
നീർനായുടെ കാട്ടം തേച്ച കുടുക്കയില് കള്ളു കുടിച്ചാല് പിന്നെ ജന്മത്തില് മോന്തില്ല.
ഈ മരുന്ന് കുറച്ചെടുത്ത് ഇംഗ്ലണ്ടിലേക്ക് അയക്കാം. There'll be a lot of takers for that. നിനക്കിപ്പോ ഈ മരുന്നും കൊണ്ട് കിഴക്കോട്ടും പടിഞ്ഞാട്ടും പോണ്ടാന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇവിടെ നിന്നോ. പാടത്ത് പണിയുണ്ടാവും, പിന്നെ അൽറ ചില്ലറ പണി വേറെ. എന്തേ?
Yeah, man. There's something like that. There's something kind of unexplainable about this relationship. I feel like it's.
Yes.
I can't. That's the kind of thing that speaks volumes. I think like it's beyond what you can sort of explain. Why there's sort of this this relationship and this fascination between these two characters. It's
just instantaneous. Yeah. Like, why did they hit it off? Why did the Thampuran characters want to employ him? Like based on just this really kind of short conversation they have.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something like wholesome about it. Like it feels like it's like it's real. Sometimes you just meet people, you just get along with them, and you can't explain why. Like you can't really understand what makes you want to be around this person, what makes you want to employ this person. What is that sort of. What is it? Because it's not rational. There's nothing there in that conversation. It's not like he's a really strong guy or a big guy or like he's really good at what he's done. It's a very simple conversation that's just, I guess, amusing to Thampuran, which, he's like, he can't really understand what the deal is with this, but that doesn't mean he's like looking down on him or anything like that. He's just sort of intrigued.
That's right. And like, you can almost understand the Ponthan Mada's characters perhaps like shock or reverence of the Thampuran character because he's, wearing his fancy clothes and he's riding a carriage. And so he has that aura of someone who's very strong and powerful, not physically, but of high stature maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe he's drawn to that and is deferential to him as someone who's an authority figure. But the kind of other way in terms of what Thampuran sees in Ponthan Mada, it's a bit undefinable. But you're right. You can sometimes just run across people and you're like, this is my type of person.
Yeah, that's sort of what it comes about. I mean, like, this is probably Thampuran is played by Naseeruddin Shah, who is like, he's a pretty legendary actor. Like, he's done a lot, mostly in Bollywood, but he's actually even ventured out into Hollywood. So you'll see him appear in Hollywood movies every now and then. And even he brought so much to this movie. It's actually cool to see like Mammootty alongside Naseeruddin Shah, these two fantastic actors who are probably two of the best across India at doing what they're sort of doing in sort of different roles. Because I really appreciated his character because it was like this very soft kind of gentle man who was also in power, and he was kind of balancing that. Like in Vidheyan, again, it's going to be compared because it has to be. We saw like the evil side of that, but I don't think Thampuran was an evil person at all. I think
no.
Very very
he's
nice.
Fundamentally a good man.
Yeah. It sounds that way. So, I mean...
And he has that... I think what is the defining characteristic of Thampuran, I think, is that melancholy of the life he's lost in England and being away from his wife and child. And I think he comes across to me as, while a good person, he's also a sad person. And in Ponthan Mada, he's able to find a companion who he can share those woes with, which is, it's beautiful and unexpected. And this relationship is the heart that carries this whole film.
Yeah. I mean, this is what sort of the whole movie is kind of about. But it is, it's just, I don't know. It's, as I said, this movie, so it is based on two short films and it kind of, short stories, I think. And it has that kind of feeling to it because like in terms of like substance, in terms of plot, if you come into this movie expecting a lot, I think you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed because there's really not much in it. It's really just the exploration of this relationship and a little bit on the side of, I guess, Mada's sort of character and, a little bit of the reflections of what, the slave, I guess, mentality is. Because we sort of see that happen once again with like the lady of his life, which is another whole whole thing, which we'll probably get to. But like in terms of like this relationship, I do think it is like the heart of the movie. And it's just, whenever these two on the screen, I sort of just appreciated it. It is cool with the backdrop of the sort of, the colonialism with, him wearing the clothes that he does, like, and the music playing in the background, the classical music and the English that he speaks in between. So it's
That's right.
It's a nice, like, period piece if you want to put it like that. Like it's pretty accurate in some ways.
That's right. And as I say, it kind of just like gently washes over you. It's not heavy-handed or anything. Yes, there are scenes when the Thampuran character's, dancing by himself in the room and he's, listening to classical music and you're like, oh, okay, this is of a particular time. But the direction here doesn't require or it doesn't overlabor the fact that we are in, colonial India or, what these characters are about. It's just done so easily. The music is soothing and you're instantaneously teleported into this kind of somewhat rural life, right? Ponthan Mada is kind of approaching the Thampuran character in this vast field and just slowly walking towards him, and you get a bit of a sense of the landscape as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because he has he calls a master. So I guess if you're calling him master, he is a slave. I'm thinking because he says, "I have a previous master. I'm getting that stuff for him," and
that's true. Yeah.
All of a sudden just says, okay, screw, forget that guy, you're my new master.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All of a sudden. So it's interesting that he just, I don't know, something like fate is also something there with this underlying story as well, I think, because it's just like these two together.
Yes.
Something like that is there, which I really enjoyed watching these two characters, to be honest. It was just a joy.
An absolute pleasure, man. And the only thing I would say is I wish there was more of these interactions between him, because it is kind of littered across throughout, but both of these characters have so much to explore, especially the Thampuran character. Like, I wish what a perspective. Like, he grew up in England and then expelled from England for joining the Irish Republican Army or something. And you're like, what is that? Like, that is a cultural context I have no idea about. I would love to have both of them talk more about that. Yeah. I would love to have had more of this. And while it's a great quality where, so much can be said without speaking, them playing chess or the games together, that all means a lot. But I would have loved more dialogue, because this is, not a relationship or a time period that either of us have a cultural context in. So, it would love to explore it more.
No, I don't think this is even being explored much. Like, I mean, India does.
No.
They have a huge catalogue of movies about British India and colonization. It's not a new topic, but this specific perspective, where you have a colonizer, if you want to call him, who's been he's been removed from that place and been suspended because he joined the British, because he joined the Irish Rebellion. Why did he join that? We didn't really get much of sort of his backstory, and I would have loved to. Yeah, you're right. I would have loved to understand that aspect just from from an understanding point of view, because I'd love to know what is this whole. Did this actually happen? I'm not aware of this history. Of this happening to, I guess, in someone from India who got moved to England and then joined the Irish Rebellion. It's like a few levels I have to sort of jump to understand what exactly happened to him. So, But yeah, overall, man, it's a really good one. But let's sort of see what we have up next, man. So more of those scenes.
Yes.
Shoo. നീ പഠിച്ചു പോയടാ മാടേ. Oh yes, I have something for you.
എന്തേ തമ്പുരാൻ പറയണേ?
Da. Coat.
It's so touching.
Yes. The hurricane swept by. Few of us survived. But none succeeded to answer friendship's roll call.
Oh, man.
Whom shall I call on? Who will share with me this wretched happiness of living alive? പോട്ടേടാ, നീ തനിച്ചിരിക്കും. മഴക്കോളുണ്ട്. അമ്മ ഉറങ്ങിയിട്ടുണ്ടാവില്ല. പിന്നെ ഞാനിവിടെ വേണമെന്ന് അമ്മയ്ക്ക് മാത്രം അറിയാം. ഗോപിയും വീട്ടിലില്ല.
കോപിത്തവരെ എങ്ങോട്ട് പോയോ?
ആ, അവന്റെ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ അങ്ങനെയാ.
Yeah, it's just more than interaction, man. But it was interesting when
Beautiful.
I rewatched that scene, man. It was they sort of intertwined the classical, like I guess Indian music with the more
good
classical,
point.
I guess, colonial music, if you want to call it, or the British music, the Western music. Like it started off with the more classical Indian music, and it just transferred seamlessly. Like I didn't even
I
notice it the
didn't
first time,
notice.
but then I realized, wait, this music is completely different. So it does a nice job of just. I mean, even cinematically, it's not one that really wows you in terms of its crazy camera angles or like black and white photography or anything like that, or showing us massive landscapes. But it does some, to the movie's credit, like this kind of tone it's setting. I think it's consistent with sort of the setting and what they're trying to do. The slow, relaxing pace. Even though the dialogue is like almost slow motion, and he's sometimes speaking in English, I feel, and he like it's so much of this is like. Again, it might touch on the point I said before, but a lot of the communication in this is almost non-verbal. Like he can't understand him when he's saying that, but he's speaking so eloquently about this poetry about friendship and what he's lost. But it seems like he understands, like Mada sort of understands what's going on. Like it's still as impactful. So I just appreciated that.
It's beautiful, and I was actually thinking about how the Thampuran character transfers from Malayalam to English quite frequently, and it kind of reminded me of him holding on to his kind of colonial heritage, right? Because he knows that Mother, Ponthan Mada doesn't know what he's saying, and maybe he does understand just through the vibe of it, what is being said. But it's part of the character of Thampuran that he can't let go of that British past in a way, even though he can't, it's of no use to him in the conversations that he's having or back in Kerala, but he can't let go of that past. And you see that in more obvious ways when he's dancing in a room by himself, lit with candles, pretending to have his wife and dressed in as he would in, England at the time, dancing in a Western way. But it just highlighted to me again the fact that a big part of him is left back in England, and he can't let that go. He can't adjust fully to the life he has currently, even though he has all the luxuries of life. But there is that overwhelming sadness that he has. But I think you're right. Like he's talking about friendship, who will answer the call of friendship, and I think. Just watching that again, you kind of realize, but maybe, friendship is the stuff where people spend time with each other. Time is the best indicator, right? Exactly. It's not always the one you're speaking most to or have most in common with. It's the fact that you are spending time with each other and prioritizing one another. That's what friendship is. And these two people spend a lot of time with each other. There's a lot of scenes in the movie of Thampuran looking out of his window and Ponthan Mada on the palm tree or whatever, right? Then they're just having a conversation, and like that is true friendship, I guess. And you're seeing it in the time that they spend with each other.
Yeah, it's almost like a bigger brother, younger brother kind of situation, I guess, because I wouldn't want to call him his father or his master, but he kind of even with him giving him like the coat, it's like he's almost like giving him, hey, this is a gift that I value. I know it's something that you're not going to be familiar with. It's not your dress. So, you guys don't wear coats and things like that. It's something of mine that is precious. I'm handing it over to you. It's almost like what you mentioned on that, transferring that sort of culture of his and sort of passing it on to somebody as well. But he never talks to him in like a demeaning way, or he never sort of talks to him in like a rude way or anything like that until the sort of one scene which he gets upset with him. But that's because it's almost like he's almost trying to give him tough love, and sometimes,
I think that is. Yeah, I know the scene you're talking about. Yeah.
But otherwise, the scene together, it's you're exactly right. They're always together. There's even scenes when he's on the horse riding around and Mada's just with him.
Yes.
It's really nice.
It's beautiful. And I think going to the relationship, you're right. The Thampuran character is never rude to Ponthan Mada, but he always looks out for him, much like an older brother. And when he needs to be told to do the right thing, he does. Go and get your wife. She's, your wife kind of thing. Don't let some other person interfere. It is tough love. But he also lets him live his own life. He's not like trying to keep Ponthan Mada with him, right? He said, go and marry that woman, go be with her.
Yes,
He's not
yes.
trying to keep her to himself, which is, again, I think just he's a kind-spirited man, Thampuran, and he wants the best for Ponthan Mada, and I think they both want that for one another, which is, gorgeous.
Definitely. I don't know. There's some kind of shared, it's almost like they share some kind of sadness. Both of them have, you know, he, like, even though, as you said, like, you know, beautifully, like he's got everything, you know, in terms of like, you know, luxury, in terms of his status in society and people, you know, around him. He can do whatever he wants, but he can never really have what he wants because he's lost it. You know, he can't get it back. And it really hits hard later on when he loses everything. And man, is that a tragic scene. With sort of the, you know, when he sort of has to sort of just pass away with that. That scene is brutal, man. But it's just like this. It's like this shared sadness that they have in different ways. Again, a lot of this stuff is it's not direct. You know, they never have a conversation about like my life is sad because of this, my life is sad because of this. But you see different areas where they're struggling in, and it's just like this movie does a great job of just making you feel that sorrow and that melancholy just throughout the way it's played. It's it's really nice, man.
It's beautiful. And I think at some point, Thampuran says he's lonely in the world except for when he's talking to Ponthan Mada or like he's listening to him. And that also made me remember that the young girl that the older Ponthan Mada is talking to is kind of like, she's listening to his story in the way that Ponthan Mada is listening to Thampuran's story. And so like that ability to listen to one another, that's so important, and tell your life story, I guess, is, I don't know, it's an interesting idea that kind of friendship requires that as well.
No, it's beautiful, man. But yeah, let's sort of carry on. This scene was...
This is the one commonality between Vidheyan and this thinking.
Yes.
Samra. Samra.
താഴെ ഇറങ്ങി വാടാ.
Yeah, that's probably one of the striking scenes. I think like when that sort of hit, it felt so different cinematically. Like it was like an art house movie all of a sudden with that short little, you know, like that little dream sequence or something like that, I guess. Like he's hallucinating after drinking, I guess, because we don't see him drink much, but that was a one time where he's like losing everything. You know,
I thought that was kind of a great scene because the Ponthan Mada character, he's so meek. He lets the world just kind of run all over him, and he's kind of other people's lackey all the time. He does have moments where he chases what he wants, and he does go back and try to find his wife or his partner and doesn't have any luck, but he so often just does not take control of his life. And here we see him, what he's actually feeling and the anger that he feels at what's happened in terms of that man asking his wife to come and stay with him. Yeah. It finally comes out, and I don't know, it was refreshing because he's such a meek character. He doesn't say very much. You almost are frustrated at him for not standing up for himself enough. And so it was good to see that, you know, he still does have these hurts. He's not an unfeeling person with no, you know, moral compass. He knows what's happening is wrong. And, you know, this is his way of at least imagining how he was going to set things right. Obviously not in the right way, but it was good to get that insight into his character.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was a really powerful scene. And I think it's a testament to how short and sharp it is, but how much is sort of conveyed. Because, obviously he's somebody that can't physically do that. It seems like he's not able
Yes.
to, and that's sort of a lot of commonality which he has with Tommy's character in Vidheyan. Like,
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
same
Yeah. Yeah.
situation happened to him that happened with his sort of woman as well, which was just strange.
Yes.
That
Oh,
I guess
good point.
this whole servant mind and having your woman just taken from you is it just a common thing that
Blows
used to
my
happen
mind.
all the time? Like, it
Yeah.
seems like it's happened twice to him in 2 of his movies, which is just ridiculous.
Insane.
And yeah,
Yes.
again, that's a part that I can't grasp. Like, I can't understand why he just let her go and didn't get her back.
Didn't
The
stop. Yeah.
same way I couldn't understand why Tommy didn't. He started to enjoy with a
Yeah.
smell on his wife's body. I was like, what? This is so weird.
What is happening here? And I guess this is just like the level of deference to hierarchy and how much you respect hierarchy is such at a high level that it's not about a moral compass anymore, that whatever the person above you does is unconditionally right, and you just accept it. And maybe that's been beaten into them through decades of, this is how the world works. And so you just come to accept it. But it feels for us as a modern audience and maybe a Western audience that this is just unacceptable. We can't believe that there was ever a time when, people would be okay with it. But it's, I guess, we're transported to another time. And
the impact of, I guess, casteism is just, unbelievable. And that's sort of what both of these movies have shown us from 1994. So, they've really done a good job of demonstrating how it doesn't just impact you. Like, you're right, because, it's not even like a moral, it's a great point. It's not a moral thing anymore. It's just the way things are. I am of this caste, therefore, if anyone of a higher caste asks me, I have to do it. And I can't do anything else. Like, it's not within my power to really stand up for myself, which is, ridiculous. But I guess it is something I'm guessing they're illustrating that accurately because they've done it, again in this movie.
True.
So it's, something that must have happened, which is just absolutely devastating to see the impact of that, man.
It really is. And I guess, it gives you a sense of empathy for what, if this is accurate, what society and what people had to deal with. And almost, you're glad that things aren't that way anymore. But it's
correct. Oh, definitely. Well,
it's brutal.
You'd hope so. You'd hope that this is less common, although I would assume that probably in smaller communities it might still be a little bit like that too. But it's interesting like that because this is the first scene we got with the whole palm tree. I can't remember it was palm tree, coconut tree. Maybe it's a palm tree. I don't see any coconuts falling or anything like that. But in terms of it's interesting that he sort of that communication style of up in the tree and talking to the house. I found that odd, but yes. Yeah, I think it's because there's another scene which sort of I guess further implies this because I don't think Thampuran's character really wants to show that he has favoritism towards this Mada character because there's another scene where they're in that pool, and he's like, hey, come in the pool, you can just hang out together, bathe here, and then they're all fine, and then all of a sudden he sees people and he has hide.
Yes.
So it's definitely something I can't be seen mingling with the people of your caste.
Great point. Yes.
People are going to be thinking differently of me, and they're going to think, why are you favoring him for? So it's interesting to play with this idea. It's he wants to be close, but due to against society and culture, he can't.
Has to keep him at an arm's distance. Yeah, because I was wondering if you're friends, why wouldn't you invite him in? But I guess you've explained it that you don't want to show favoritism amongst the people. Everyone else who works there because of the caste thing. Yeah, that's right. Or that even if you have favorites and that could, inspire a revolt or something, rumors and all of that. So good point. Maybe that is the reason why they have to have that conversation in this awkward way.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess it's awkward, but I guess it just shows you I guess the commitment of Mada and his appreciation of Thampuran, his life revolves around him.
Entirely around him,
It just intertwines with what you mentioned before, the hierarchy thing. He's found somebody that he can actually talk to. There's two powerful male characters in this one. One is a guy that takes his wife, and one is Thampuran, and Thampuran is of a higher status, I guess, but he treats him almost like an equal by going outside, playing chess with him, spending time with him, having him around with him whenever he can. And then you have the other one that just takes everything from him. So for him, I can understand, I guess, now why he appreciates that relationship so much.
That's true.
Here's this guy who's treating me like a human.
That's right. It explains why he's kind of fawns over him and has so much affection for him and kind of worships the ground he walks on because he treats him like a human being for the first time. You even have that character who's from Ponthan Mada's village, maybe, and he even talks about Ponthan Mada being like lower caste, and then he comes and eats his food and stuff. And so, someone who's not even necessarily as higher caste is still looking down on him. And so to have Thampuran's character, who's maybe at the top of the hierarchy, treating him so kind of kindly, must leave an impact on you and makes you want to kind of serve them even more in a way and appreciate the friendship.
Yeah. That's a good point. It actually further emphasizes it because it's like, even when he marries his wife, like there's a comment by somebody saying something like, how dare you think you can marry a woman of this kind of stature or something like that. Like they're after him as well. So he must be on the bottom, I think.
Yeah.
So for him
that's right.
Yeah, for him to be accepted by somebody like Thampuran, who is at the way, way top, it's almost like, no wonder it's so complex and unique, this relationship is, because it's like literally like the top and bottom, like just coming together, which is unheard of.
Must be unheard of. Yeah, that's it. And just, I guess this is what makes it so compelling and like so watchable. This is not a relationship we've seen and would be novel even of the time and to, Indian audience as well.
Definitely not, man. But we'll move on to sort of the next one here. Yeah.
എന്താ പറയാ മാടേ, ആകെ തകർന്നു. ഈ വീട് വാങ്ങിയപ്പോ മുകളിലത്തെ മുറിയുടെ താക്കോല് മാത്രം കിട്ടിയിരുന്നില്ല. അതിനകത്ത് എന്തോ പഴയ സാധനങ്ങളാവും അവിടെ കിടക്കട്ടെ എന്ന് കരുതി. ഇപ്പോഴല്ലേ അറിയണത്. മാടേ വിളിപ്പിച്ച എന്തിനാണെന്നറിയോ? നിങ്ങളുടെ തമ്പുരാന്റെ അസ്ഥിയോ ചാരോ എന്തൊക്കെയോ ആ മുറിയിൽ ഒരു കുടത്തിലുണ്ടത്രേ. ഭാരത പുഴയിൽ ഒഴുക്കണം. അത് താൻ തന്നെ എല്ലാ ഏർപ്പാടുകളും ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. കാരണം ഇങ്ങോട്ട് പോ, ധൈര്യമായിട്ട് കയറിക്കോളൂ. ഇവിടെ അങ്ങനെയൊന്നും നോക്കാനില്ല. ആകെ മുങ്ങിയില്ലേ.
Wow. First time he's entering the house, right?
Yeah, that's right. After all these decades.
My God.
What a moment that must be.
Yeah.
And then to go into the room.
Man.
And still the reverence that he has for the Thampuran character after all of these years.
Yeah, man.
That's beautiful.
That's touching.
Jeez.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's...
എവിടെയും കാണാനില്ല.
അച്ഛൻ എന്തിന്റെ കേടാ? ചെമ്പുകുടം, അതിലയാളുടെ ആത്മാവ്, മണ്ണാങ്കട്ട, ഓരോ കെട്ടുകഥകള്.
Man.
പത്മേ
ഞാൻ പോവാണ് ഏട്ടാ. അവൾ ഇവിടെ നിൽക്കട്ടെ.
പത്മേ
എന്റെ മോന്റെ ജീവിതം ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു പെണ്ണ് കാരണം നശിപ്പിക്കാൻ ഏതായാലും നിശ്ചയിച്ചിട്ടില്ല.
ഞാൻ തമ്പുരാന്റെ മോളല്ലേ, ഞാനിതാ വന്നു. എവിടെ ചിതാഭസ്മം?
Oh man, that's just...
what a beautiful ending to a film, but also kind of heartbreaking in a way. But yeah, oh man,
yeah, that
like
was really, I love the ending.
That was so moving, and I just love that, you know, after all of these decades have passed since Thampuran's death, Ponthan Mada still has that love and adoration and respect for him. You know, like he still lives in his memory as if it were yesterday. Like if that's not kind of true friendship and all of that, it's hard to figure out what would be. That's such a lovely relationship.
Definitely, it's beautiful, man, to see that. I mean, this is sort of where I kind of like the sort of older Mammootty being involved, because before this I was like, I didn't really understand where it was going with that. But then when this scene came around, I was like, wow, the amount of time that he spent, you know, worshipping this character even after he sort of passed away, like, you know, and he sort of, even before that, he walks around with like sadness, like he's lost something. The same way, kind of in parallel with like how Thampuran walks around like he's lost everything in his life too. So, you know, that's true. That same theme of like sadness, just sorrow follows these characters, but it's like a shared sadness, which is beautiful at the same time because they both have this bond between them.
Yes,
so with these emotions. I mean, a really complex way, I feel like.
It's so unlike kind of your ordinary depiction of that kind of friendship, like in terms of what binds them. It's that kind of sorrow of things lost. And yeah, you're right. This is where that kind of two timelines makes the most amount of sense, because after all that you've seen, all the scenes of them together, to finally have Ponthan Mada go into the house, sit in the room that belonged to Thampuran, that must, you know, that will hit so hard. But yeah.
And not just that, like he's the one that's been asked to perform like the most, like, you know, like the most prestigious thing you can after he's passed away. He has no family left. The closest thing he has to family is mother, which for him would just be like, oh my God, like symbolically, that's just, you know,
the highest kind of praise he can have. Yeah, highest honor. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And like there are scenes in this movie where Ponthan Mada is kind of just roaming the farms he used to till and the land he used to till. Like he's still attached to this land, and it's all because like he doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't try and find new work or anything. He's just there because of the connection that he has to the Thampuran character and this world. This is his entire life, and it's defined by it. And for him to have this conclusion, like that is as close as he can get to, you know, a pleasant ending for that relationship.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I guess that's another great way to put it, because I guess we have the sad death of Thampuran's character, who, you know, unfortunately has to, you know, takes his life because of he's lost his wife and everything like that.
Yes.
And that's very tragic to him. But at least we got this. To me feels like a happy ending, because despite all the pain, despite all the struggle that, you know, Mada's gone through with, you know, losing his wife and then, you know, obviously losing his one and only friend, he's found this like little piece of joy in the end of his life too. So with this lady, is she actually Thampuran's daughter?
I don't think so. I think he thinks of her that way. And so to get that final command from, you know, someone who he views as the daughter, then that must mean even more to him.
Correct. No, he has that scene where he talks to her about it, saying that, you know, when I talk to you, it's like I'm talking to, you know, the daughter I never met, or something like that. And then so this sort of just, it's great because she also has such a great understanding of him and what it means to him through the storytelling. You know, so it's like it just adds on to that sort of happiness that she also has there as well.
So and another fortuitous meeting as well, right? Because she's going in a car and almost like hits him or something, kind of like how Thampuran and Ponthan Mada met as well. He was riding something and Ponthan Mada approaches him. Get
another parallel. Yeah, but so what do you make of? So why did she not get along with the husband? I didn't really get that part. Was this like power struggle thing or?
I assume that because she wasn't happy because she never got to finish her studies, which was the promise that he gave her that, we won't marry until you finish your studies. And then he reneged and they got married immediately, which is not what they want. So she was never happy with him. And so she left him or was not kind of fulfilling her wifely duties maybe or something. But like, I feel like it's a good ending for her to have escaped that relationship.
Correct.
And I wonder if part of that was something to do with something Ponthan Mada told her or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but she obviously has a great deal of respect for him.
Yes, she definitely does. No, she really does. And it's again, this movie, I like it because nothing is sort of over the top once again, right? They could have portrayed like that, I guess even like the husband or the fiance or whatever you want to call him as a real, he was actually pretty kind in a lot of ways, but just not, what she sort of wanted. And he was, he had his flaws as well, but they didn't depict him as like a beater or as somebody that's like really malicious or like,
very annoying.
Really arrogant or anything like that. Everyone is not like, no one's really portrayed as like an evil character. Even the guy that takes his wife is just like using his power, but he doesn't like, call him names or insult him. He's just like, your wife is mine now. That's really all. Not like, in Vidheyan, it's very much like, over the top. Like, I literally kick you to death. Like, like that's sort of the thing. So it's fascinating with that. It just, the movie stays consistently at this sort of pace with his characters, with his narrative, with his pacing. And
even with the tone for the most part. Yeah.
Exactly right. So really enjoyable. I've really enjoyed this movie, man. It's definitely, I think people will not remember this movie as well just because it doesn't have that like impact. Like, you don't have that huge Mammootty moment. You don't have like, like something like a really crazy performance, I think. So it's a bit more subtle. But I think for people that enjoy these kind of more softer, gentle movies, which I definitely enjoy, it's just take you through a little journey in time. Like it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
And to watch two people who are obviously, masters of their craft kind of have this friendship. It's beautiful. It's seamlessly done. It seems like it's effortless for both of them. They just slipped into these characters as if they were them.
Yes.
Like this is a real delight, man. It was an absolute pleasure to watch this film.
Yeah. It's really good, guys. So let us know in the comments, guys, what you thought about this. We really enjoyed watching this movie. It's definitely, I enjoyed it because it's definitely a change of pace. Like we watch a lot of movies on this channel, guys. And some of them can be pretty intense, but I do definitely enjoy these kind of, movies that you can just sit back and just go on a journey with these characters, man. Just, see where they're going and, happy ending like this always leaves me nice. It feels nice in your whole body after watching this. It's just a nice ending, man, with just, I wanted to see how movies have a nice ending,
Yes.
And we got that with Mammootty's character with Mother.
That's right, man. This is a beautiful story, and you'll leave with a smile on your face. And I think this is a type of friendship that you won't see often depicted in any type of cinema, and that alone is worth the watch. Exactly right,
man. Couldn't have said it better. But guys, let us know in the comments, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Awesome as always.
Till next time. Always a pleasure, man. See ya. Great.